All right, let's go. Let's move on. All right. So one of the questions that been popping in is, what do you guys do? You know, I've been asked that from home office because they see the numbers, they see the new people that are popping up on our board on there, and obviously, you know, being in the schools is a huge market. You know, police, great market, but I still rank it second to the school because I can't think of too many businesses or too many markets where you can walk away with two minimum of two pieces of business every single time, whether it's a life insurance and an annuity. Again, we're very unique as a group. If you talk to some of the people that are carriers, in particular, when they come visit us, they say you guys are so different for a number of reasons. One, everybody on our team is licensed. They're not used to that. I'll never forget when we had someone from home office and they asked that question, "How many of you are licensed?" And every hand in the room went up. And the guy at home office is all like, "No, no way. You guys have everybody licensed in the room?" Yes, everybody is licensed in our room. We're not sitting at 50%, 40% like some other teams as well. So that's one aspect of it. The second aspect is that we're working in a market that, number one, our clients are stationary. We can always find them on there. If they're going to be meeting at their classroom, we know exactly when they're going to be in their classroom and at what time. Plus, you know, we're able to do two things. We're able to write life insurance, and we're able to also do annuities, annuity transfers. And that's ultimately uh, what's going to drive this business. You know, as I've told people, if you can come in here and learn the IUL, that's going to keep the cash flow coming on a weekly basis. But the moment you learn annuities and how to do transfers and flows on that, that's really the game changer to your income. That makes the biggest difference in your income. And I think if Vic was still here, I think he's still there. He might have had to go get off. That's made the biggest difference in his income. Matter of fact, so much so that he tends to be focused more on annuity transfers than on the life side. But you got to have a good mix. You know, think about like fishing. If you learn how to fish, you know, you can feed on a weekly, but annuities are more like whale hunting. You know, once you find one, that's going to feed your village for quite some time, just by finding one whale. But you may starve for a while. You know, our competition, that's the way they operate. They operate one or the other, primarily mostly 403Bs, and they can starve for a while before they get a decent sized deal on it. Well, in our particular case, we're able to write life and do annuities at the same time as well. So one of the things that we're doing different as far as our closing, we still use the script somewhat. Okay, we've modified it. I'm going to probably script a little bit more. But for those of you that have been to our live trainings, one of the first things we do, we go directly to CalSTRS. We don't go to the sheet. We don't write anything out. We go directly to CalSTRS and we educate these teachers about how their pension works. Make sure they're logged in. They look at their progress report and make sure the beneficiaries are up to date. You'd be shocked. Probably 90% of the time, most teachers don't even have a beneficiary named at all, or worse, they have like an ex-spouse named as a beneficiary, so we help them with that. And then we go directly to the online calculator. And we find that that's building up so much value in the teacher's eyes that they literally want to hand us the business. I've had that after the first appointment. I'll give you a perfect example. Was one teacher who had National Life, by the way, and has had an advisor for 20 years. Okay, one of the first things I asked, because I never want to step on anybody's toes, are you still talking to your advisor? He said, "Oh yeah, I just talked to him a couple of weeks ago on there." Well, good. Stick with that advisor. If he's communicating with you and you're satisfied with him, you know, yeah, you want to do that. Well, she after our session, you know, she turned around and said, like, "No, I want you to take over my accounts." I'm all like, "Well, yeah, but you're just talking to a guy." She turned around and told me this: "You taught me more in 15 minutes than this guy has taught me in 20 years." And she handed me her entire book of business, over $255,000 in annuity business that I'm now going to be managing for her. So it's extremely important that you guys learn these steps of taking people to the CalSTRS website, educating them on how their pension works, their beneficiaries are up to date. They feel like a big weight has been lifted off their shoulders. You get that response too after meeting to do something, meeting to do something, take a look at it, and now you've actually sat there and actually took care of it and empowered them with knowledge on that. Okay? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you to the CalSTRS training that I've done in the past. Okay? And we're going to kind to go through this briefly because we don't want to take too much of your time. I know we only have maybe a half hour. Plus, I have a annual review I got to get to at 10 a.m. So let me go and share my screen. Let me know when you guys can see my screen.
Yeah, good.
You can see it.
Okay.
George, you're recording and we'll be able to get this, right?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
recording. Okay. All right. So again, you guys saw this in the live training. You know, the CalSTRS reading the progress report. So very important and creates so much value. So again, it's going to be recorded for you. So one of the first things that we do when we meet somebody, we go directly to the CalSTRS website. Okay. We take them to it. You know, we'll walk them through. Now again, they're doing it. We're not doing it for them. We don't get your laptop. Get on your laptop. Let's get you to the CalSTRS website. Okay. And we tell them to go directly to my CalSTRS login there. Okay. Here they go ahead and sign in. If they've already signed in, fantastic. That saves you a bunch of time. If they've never signed in, then you have to take them to register now. And it takes probably a couple of minutes for them to set up their username and password. Now it's all dependent on who you're sitting down with. Kevin, I'm not sure if Kevin's on the line. He's new. He had the misfortune of going to 2 appointments where the teachers could not answer their personal questions on there and basically had to call CalSTRS directly and they had to reset their password. They had to log in before they could try to log in. So that happens. It's rare. They'll also be able to answer their personal questions and get set up on it. Now, once they're in and they're able to get into the actual website itself, okay, you want to take them to the retirement progress report, okay, and they're going to hit the year. Don't let them go to glossary or employer details. That's not going to give them any information. You want to take them directly to their progress report and hit 2023 in this case as well. Okay? That's going to open up their PDF. Again, you want to explain to them that there's 3 different parts to the CalSTRS. There's going to be their pension, which they all understand. This one is the key, guys. As a matter of fact, this helped me sell a 403b transfer because I read it to a teacher that has over 250,000 in her supplement account. Now, what's the supplement account? Anything outside of their contract days, after school activities, summer school, will go into that account. Now, this particular teacher, aside from having 250,000 in her supplement, doesn't take any sick days. So she has over 200 sick days that she's going to apply towards her CalSTRS. So how did I use the supplement to sell her on the 403b? Well, again, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We went to TSA Consulting Group, saw that she had National Life, saw that she had CalSTRS Pension 2, saw that she had Voya, and I basically said, well, you're going to retire in 2 years, or so you say. Okay? You want to roll that supplement into an IRA when you retire, so that way you don't get exposed to the tax consequences. But more importantly, you stay in control of it rather than giving it back to CalSTRS. I love that idea, and she said, like, well, how do I open an IRA? I go, well, you're 60 years old. You're eligible to roll over your 403bs into an IRA, and we'll have the account open. And she said, done. You know, we took a little while, but we eventually did roll over all 3 of her 403bs into one IRA. And the goal is that when she retires in the next year or 2, we're going to roll her entire supplement into the IRA that's already existing as well. So again, very important that you explain that.
I have a question about that. I have a question about that. So you did the 403bs into a 403b, into an IRA with no tax implement?
No tax consequence. As long as they're 59 and a half, they can do it.
Oh, okay. Thank you. That's what you said. And then the IRA is going to be the traditional IRA?
Traditional IRA.
Okay,
Traditional IRA. And the next step that she liked is once she retires, rolls the rest of that money, she's going to take portions of that IRA and convert it into a Roth IRA. That's ultimately what she wants. She wants a Roth IRA. So we're going to convert portions of that account into a Roth IRA for her. All right, third component is going to be the defined contributions, which we'll cover in just a bit. Again, okay, this is their progress report. You want to make sure you explain to them that their service credits are up to date on there. We've had a couple of occasions with some teachers say that's not enough credits. You know, they're shorting me. What's that? I'm sorry, what was that? Did somebody have a question?
George, on the credits, I had a lady on Friday. She had like 26, kind of like this, 27.998, and she said she was going to make up the service credits. Does that mean she's staying longer?
I, either that or she's going to buy them, Denny. Might
Okay.
be using her 403B to buy them, possibly. How old is she?
I don't have it in front of me, but I believe she was 54, 55,
Okay. Okay. And wants to retire when?
55.
Okay. Okay. Again, guys, very important. You're going to hear that a lot. I want to get out of here at 55. Great. But do them a service. Make sure you show them what 60 looks like. Never fails. Between 55 and 60, $2,000 to $3,000 a month in income. Okay. So then they just have to make a decision. Is it worth sticking around for an extra $2,000 to $3,000 a month? Anyways, okay, let's move on. All right. Again, this is going to be the other portion is going to be the defined benefit program. This portion, again, is going to be essentially their pension for the first 2.5 to 3 years. Okay. So, in other words, CalSTRS is going to make them use their own money because this is their contributions plus interest to fund their pension in the first 2.5 years. Once this account goes to zero, then the CalSTRS pension plan will continue their payments going forward. Now, why is that important? Well, it's kind of a way to kind of protect themselves. Because unfortunately, I had a client that retired, died 9 months into her retirement. She was just short of 200,000 in her defined benefit program. Died 9 months into her retirement. Had to help her husband get the death claim from CalSTRS. He got a total of $6,700. Okay, out of that, whatever was left of the $200,000 that she had going in there. So it's very important that you emphasize that to them, that once they retire, this money is no longer belongs to them. It belongs to CalSTRS. This money. Now, right here, this is the other important stuff. Okay,
George, I'm
benefit.
sorry, I do have a question.
Yes.
I've been asked this before. Why is that? Is it something that UTLA made in contract with the teachers with the LA Unified School District, or why do they have that implemented?
That's been there since day one. It's the way the pension protects itself. Okay, because essentially, okay, again, we come to the annuity world. That money that's in their defined benefit, okay, when they retire, they are essentially annuitizing that. Okay, so if you guys are familiar with annuities, same thing happens in our world. You hand over your annuity to get an income for the rest of your life. That money no longer belongs to you; it belongs to the company. Okay, same here. Same here. Okay, once you hand that money over, it belongs to CalSTRS. Okay, every pension works the same exact way. I don't care if you're working for federal, state, or private. Okay, every pension works exactly the same way. It's one big annuity. Okay, and once you retire, you're essentially annuitizing the entire amount. Huh? Does that answer your question, Monica?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Which leads me to this. Okay, here most of the time we don't see any recipients on there. Teachers just don't get around to doing it. They're natural procrastinators like everybody else on there. So it's very important that if you see or spot that they don't have a beneficiary name, as soon as you're done going through the progress report, take them and show them. You don't have to do it for them, right? But show them where they can update their beneficiaries on it. And they're very appreciative that you're able to get that done as well. But again, it's right here, okay? You see up here at the top stage, I'm going to do a little drawing for you guys as well. Right here it shows that if they die before they retire, okay, this is their death benefit here before they retire if they die, plus whatever's in the defined benefit program. Okay? After they die, okay, this is all the family gets. It'll be $6,900. Okay? This is just the way it works. Now, why do they get the whole amount? Well, primarily, like I said, they haven't annuitized that money. So since they didn't annuitize that money, then that benefit will go back to the family if they die before they retire. But once they retire, all bets are off. They're basically handing their money over to CalSTRS. It now belongs to them. Okay? Any questions on this portion? Anybody?
Now I have a question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
When after I review this, then I walk them through the beneficiary part and we'll show them where to do it. But there's been a question that I didn't know how to answer. And have you gone to the beneficiary portion on the CalSTRS to add a beneficiary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
It's category B, I believe, or what happened to A? You know, they don't get a choice. They're automatically put in category B, I believe, or option B.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Automatically.
Okay.
It's automatically. So then you get to go in there.
And
So,
then
yeah.
you have 3 questions. They ask you 3 questions, whether you want to do single pay, one single pay, or I always press the first one because I didn't know what
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. And again, they should be defaulted in there automatically. I always tell teachers, don't check any other boxes. Don't try to make any other selections. Just stick with that. You know, that's the one that's going to be the most benefit anyway.
Okay, I'm glad I did it right. Thank you.
Yeah, so you're doing it right. Okay? But again, you
But
just want to show them what to do, the beneficiaries. You know, we're trying to
the
get through this appointment.
beneficiary can be the kids.
What's that?
The beneficiary can be the kids, not the spouse.
It could be the kids as okay, but if they're minors, remember, just like insurance, they're minors, they don't get the death benefit until they turn 18.
Right, 18 and over.
18 and older. Okay? But they can select the child or their children to be beneficiaries. Just they need to understand that. Now again, the way around it is simple. They have to set up a living trust. So if they set up a living trust, then the death benefit can go directly into that and then pay off minor children.
That
And I
is a
think
question.
I'm sorry, Monica, what I kept getting confused about is beneficiary versus the modification portion. So this is totally different than modifying their pension.
Yeah, totally,
Okay.
totally separate.
That was my question. I've been asked, can a living trust be the beneficiary in their CalSTRS pension?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
Even for
Remember,
Montebello?
what's that? Even for
Even
what?
for even for Montebello district?
Every single one. Again, guys, we're not going to get into the legalese, but a living trust is considered legally a separate entity. It's considered a person, okay? And it has or can have its own tax ID, and it can file its own taxes, okay? So you got to think of it that a living trust is considered just like a person at that point.
Yeah, you can put, let me clarify that, George. You can pretty much put everything in the trust and the trust pays out. You know, it's like George said, it's its own entity. It will pay out for everything that it needs to. And that actually protects kids because if both parents die, the trust will be paying them out, you know, in order for them to have their living expenses.
But not the pension though, because it dies, not the pension part. When they
No,
die,
the pension, no one can even do anything with the pension once until they do the modification, but the modified pension cannot go into a trust. Only the CalSTRS balance that they have.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Guys,
qualified funds, yeah, qualified money should not be put into the trust because the trust tax rates go to maximum once they reach like 12,000 or something, rather than 500 something thousand for individual.
yeah, because my teacher thought that he could put his pension in there and that when he died, it continued to pay out. So you're saying that, and then I understood that once he
No,
died, it dies with
yeah,
him. But you're saying don't do it at all anyway for his pension part. Don't put that in there.
the survivor pension can only go to a legal spouse or children that are under the age of 18, or else the pensions would be bankrupt. They can't pay their kids forever.
Right.
yeah. Hey guys, we got to move on. I got 20 minutes before my next Zoom call, so let's keep going. All right. Any other questions? Put them in the chat box, or we can answer them off time. All right, guys. Let's talk about the defined benefit supplement. This is very, very important. Okay. In this particular report, you're seeing 39,000. I think on average, most people are retiring anywhere between $50,000 to $80,000 in their supplement account, and most of the time they don't even know what to do with it. Okay. So again, CalSTRS will always push them to give the money back to CalSTRS to get an income for 3, 5, 10 years or lifetime. We always tell every single client, every single teacher, don't do that because the same thing applies. You are giving them your money, okay, for them to give you an income, and if you die early, they keep every dime. So the best one, anybody know what the best tactic is with this money when they retire?
Roll it over into the IRA.
Absolutely. Well, every single time, That way they don't get the tax implication and they'll still have access to the money in retirement. So now they're in control of the money. They can use it however they see fit to take a vacation or just as an emergency. All right, let's keep going.
So when they roll that over, George, it's okay. Let's say we take that 39,000, roll it into an IRA. They're not paying taxes on that, right?
Yep, they don't pay taxes until they take the money
So
out.
they take the
get
they
a
get
check
taxed
in
on
their
the money
hand.
they take out. Got it. Okay.
But we can't
Yeah.
roll it over until they retire.
Yeah, not until they retire. You can't do anything about it before then. Okay, very big difference. All right, let's keep going, guys. Okay, this portion again, it's part of their CalSTRS program. We want to talk about how they qualify for their pension. Most of them should know already. They should know which pension plan they're on already. But at this point, if they've been working substantially long enough, they've already qualified for their pension regardless. We also cover Social Security for them. Again, not most the teachers do not pay into Social Security, but some of them have qualified for Social Security. So all you have to do in this is just point out the paragraph, windfall elimination provision and the government pension offset. We'll do a brief explanation of what that means. Bottom line, it could affect their Social Security as well. But most of the time, look, for more details, if you did qualify for Social Security or your spouse did, Google it. All that information is public information. It'll explain to them how their Social Security is going to be affected by their pension as well. Okay. All right. So now we've done that. We've gone through the progress report. Stop the share. This is the last, probably the most important part and the biggest change we made that has basically changed how we do business in the schools as well. Okay? So as soon as we're done with the progress report, let me go ahead and share my screen again. There. Okay. You guys can see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay. As soon as we're done with the progress report, we're done to manage the beneficiaries. Now we want to take them to the CalSTRS calculator. We don't do it on paper. So I'm going to take you to the actual calculator. And you guys can practice this at home if you want to. Get yourself more proficient with that. So here's the calculator. So here this is where we ask some questions. First of all, you have to identify them, whether they're 2% at 60 or 2% at 62. If were hired after December 31st, 2012, then you got to make sure that you click no. If they were hired before then, they're working, you can usually tell by the number of years of service, just leave it at yes. So here's always a big question. When do you want to retire? Right? And when do you want to see yourself retire? Let's say somebody does want to retire at 55, right? So we always put in June 30th of whatever year. Let's say they're 50 right now, and we're going to retire them at 2039. Okay. All right. They can go ahead and put in their date of birth. Okay. So let's say they're 50, so they're going to be 1973. Let's see.
74.
74. Well, let's see. We want them to be 55 when they retire, so we're going to do 73. So they should be, because they won't be 55 if we use 74. All right, so service credits. We're just going to make it simple. We're going to say they got 25 years of service credits. Okay. Other service credits, just leave that alone. Sick leave days. Unless they know exactly how many sick leave days they have banked, you don't have to put anything. Just explain it to them. Let them know that they could take up to one contract year of sick days and apply it to CalSTRS, and they will give them a 1-year credit on their CalSTRS. So if they're 185 contract base, then they can take 185 sick days and apply it towards CalSTRS for credit. In this
But
case,
that
we're just going
sometimes
to
takes almost 6 months to credit onto their CalSTRS pension, so they shouldn't calculate it like right away.
no, they shouldn't calculate right away. So that's why we always leave it blank, but we just explained that they have the option to do that. Now we always use 120,000 as a base, okay? Even if they're making over 120,000, why do that? Why do you guys think we use 120,000 as a projected income? Anybody? No guesses? Okay.
Easy.
You want the
Just to make the
percentage.
math easy.
Well, that's one way. The other way is because we want to get a percentage, because that's $10,000 a month. When we do the calculation, it's going to give us the income, and essentially it's going to give us a percentage. Because they could always be making more money at retirement, okay? But the percentages don't change at that time. So if they're making 150,000, it's coming up to 71%. 71% is not going to change. So we always use 120,000 to do that. Now here, this is probably one of the biggest things you can do right here, guys, is put in their single beneficiary if they're married. Okay, they can do a child, but they have to be within. Brett looked it up. I think 19 years old of them. So basically,
19. Yeah, 19.
yeah, they can't be. So if they had a child early, then they can put it as a beneficiary. Any older than that they can't do it. But in this case, we're going to put the date of birth for a spouse, and we're just going to make them similar age. And now calculate. All right, so right off the bat, simple math. Here they are. Got way off. Hold on. 65. I want to sell them 55. I changed the birth date. What that number would be? I thought I had that right. So 1973. That would be 50 years old right there. Oh, here's my mistake. A 3 instead of a 2. All right. There we go. All right, much better. Okay. So here they're 55 years and 9 months. Okay. Beneficiary will be 54 years old. 25 years of service is what we're projecting. Now here's the $10,000 a month or 120,000 a year. Right here's the math. Here's the service. There's their age factor, compensation, and basically that gets them an income of $3,725 a month that they're going to get. Simple interest, that means 37.2% of whatever their income is. And down here, you can show what their modified benefit would be. So in this particular case, that's roughly about $350 a month that they would pay to cover their spouse at 100%. Okay? So that's 55. Now let's go back up to the calculator. We're going to change things a little bit. Okay? We're going to add 5 years now. All right, keep track of my time. Now we're going to give them 30 years of service. So now they get the bonus. Okay? We'll pretty much leave everything else the same. Hit no. This always pops up, so always make sure that no once they have 30 years. Okay, and voila. Now they're at 69% instead of 37 and change. So roughly over $3,200 or close to $3,200 a month more by them working 5 more years. Now, does that mean we're trying to convince them to work till past 55? No. They just need to know what that number is that they would walk away from, okay? Which is going to give you the opportunity to say, well, let's see if we can make that money up. If we can make up $3,000 a month in income, and you're willing to put the money in to get that by the time you're 55, is that worth your time? That could be a pretty good size IUL that's going to have to pay out roughly about, $36,000 a year in tax free. Actually, if you do the math, it's going to be less than that. It's probably closer to $30,000 a year to make up the difference, because that money's all going to be tax free. So again, this is what the opportunity gives you from that standpoint by showing them both ages and the difference in income. Gives you an opportunity to try to be the hero and say, like, I can get you out of here early. Do an IUL. Won't work for a Roth, because a Roth you still have to wait till 59 and a half. But they're dead set on retiring at 55. The IUL is going to be their best bet to start collecting income as soon as they retire at that age. But here, again, is the modified benefit at different years. Just take a look at now at 100%. Now it's going to cost them just shy of $800 a month to cover their spouse. So you can solve both those problems, income and also the covering the spouse through an IUL. Okay, so that gives you the big opportunity. That's why it's so important to do this, guys. Instead of doing it on paper, because you could show the percentages. The calculator is going to be more accurate than whatever we come up with. But more importantly, it's going to show that modified benefit, which is going to create another opportunity for you to sell something. Okay? Any
And then
questions on this so far?
we make
Go ahead.
sure we let them know the taxes haven't been taken out.
Yeah, taxes haven't been taken out. Absolutely, 100%. Huh? Any questions on this so far, guys? Anything at all? Again, this is being recorded. All right, none? All right. Last step. Now, again, we're taking a full hour to do this, but I'm telling you, once you master this, you can take them to the CalSTRS website, progress report, beneficiaries, and calculator, plus the last step, the TPA website, and you can do that in probably about a little over 20 minutes. I've done it in as little as 19 on there, about 25 minutes. So now we've taken it to our progress report, we built up the value, you know that the what the numbers are going to be for their CalSTRS. Now let's take them to their TPA. So I'm going to open up another window. I'm going to share that, and I promise you we'll be done in the next couple of minutes. If you're working in LAUSD, you want to learn to go to tsaconsultinggroup.com. Okay, that's TSACG. So it's Tom, Sam, Adam, Charlie, George.com. Okay, so as you can see, that's the website right here. Now for teachers, okay, especially those that, and I think probably over 90% of them don't even know this website exists, but it's an important website because this is the third-party administrator. This is where their 403Bs, they control their contributions to their 403Bs. They can do loans, they can do withdrawals. Even after retirement, they would still have to go through this website to access their 403B. But more importantly, it gives you an opportunity to see what they got. Once they log in, everything pops up. Every single account that they have, including account numbers. Okay, so if they're gracious enough to let you take a picture of it or write it down, great.
Everything but Voya.
Yeah, well, you're talking about the 457. Voya's on there too, but just on the 403B side.
Gotcha.
Not the 457. A totally different animal, but again, we'll save that for another session. So you want to take them to this website, tsacg.com, have them go to the ART login, and you have one of two ways to get them in there to set up their username and password. You can either type in new, okay? Their password is going to be LAUSD. Hit login. Okay, and now they can go ahead and set up their username, password, confirm password, last name, social security number, okay? Address. Okay, they can confirm whether it's mailing address. They put their phone number in there. Email, make sure that it's always their private email. If they try to put their work email, let them know. So you're going to lose that as soon as you retire. So you want to have your private email. Birth date, gender, married, yes or no. And here they can check their questions. You know, if they want to do like what street did you grow up on, what's your grandmother, etc. They could choose. They just have to do 2 questions. Take a list, a site key here. Click I'm not a robot, submit, and voila. If they're contributing and they have a 403B account, everything will pop up. If they're not contributing, it'll also show too. It'll show that they're not contributing to the account and don't have any accounts. Either way, this is probably one of the more important changes that we made this year. It's just been an absolute game changer. Because this is how we're picking up National Life clients with that have existing accounts. We're seeing what they got. They got Great American, Voya, Bright House, any number of the vendors. You'll see exactly which vendor it is. Now, let me caution you. Okay? If they have been contributing, this may not work to get you in there. So what you want to do as the alternative, see if it works for me here or not. We'll go ahead and go back to TSACG. Okay. You have to log in. If they've been contributing, then they put their social security in here. Okay. Put the number in there. Okay. They log in. And then their password is going to be their 8-digit date of birth. Okay. That's for people that have been contributing and they know they've been contributing. And then you'll get into their website as well. Okay. Now, Any questions that you have about me? Again, we'll review this again, but I can't emphasize enough the fact that you have to start doing it this way. It'll speed up the process. You don't have to wait for statements for 403Bs. But more important, you're going to see a complete financial picture on the first appointment. Once we do all that, we check them to the websites, get them all situated there. Then we just ask a few more questions. What made you make this appointment, etc. They'll already have their 403B information on whether they're contributing or not. That more than likely you're already going to know that they have kids and whether or not they're married just by going to the CalSTRS website, etc. And by the time you walk out of that first appointment, you've got pretty much everything that you need. We're finding that by the time we meet them the second time, we're already on the phone calling the leasing companies and saying, let's find out what Great American or Mass Mutual, whoever's doing for you. Huh? Eliminates a lot of time, a lot of wait time, and we're closing people for annuity rollovers by the second appointment now. Right? That's where we're getting a lot of the speed. All right, guys, I'm essentially out of time. I got maybe like one more minute for questions before we sign off for the day. Anybody?
Sorry, I have a really quick question. So if you're dealing with a retired teacher and they left it in the 403B and they started taking contributions, can we still roll that over no matter what? Like if they've been retired for a year and they've been taking it to the IRA, or is it time specific
No,
after they're retired? Oh,
after they retire, they can roll it over. They got separation of service. Now
okay. So if
again,
I'm doing my annual review with the person, because as of right now, and I just think that maybe just didn't understand, so it was a little bit too much information to have him roll over his 403B right now. So, and he's
yeah,
59 and a half.
no, you can roll it over. Now again, if they're taking a guaranteed lifetime income, then it might get a
Yes.
little tricky.
Okay, yeah, it
But if
is.
they're just taking withdrawals, yeah, you can roll that over all day long.
Yeah, it had a glare on it. Okay, so
Okay.
leave it as is.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would
All
leave
right.
that as is.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any other questions, guys? Last
George,
call.
where do we find your recording of this session?
This is going to come from Javier. Okay.
Okay.
So
So
hit up
YouTube,
Javier.
right?
What's that?
It'll be on YouTube on his.
I believe so. I believe this will be on YouTube. So, but yeah, just hit up Javier a little later today after his roll calls. If you guys have any questions about the recording on this, he'll probably share it. I'll encourage him to do so. All right, guys, I really do have to go. I already got a client waiting for me. So you guys make it a great day. Make it a great week. Last week before they go into spring break, I believe. Yeah. So go out there and make it happen this week. You won't. You'll have a harder time once they're on spring break. So, all right, guys. Bye bye.